Coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios right here in Colombo, this is Primetime News. A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Good evening and welcome. I am Shine Party, and these are your headlines.
Ranil Sajid meeting takes positive turn, and UNP seniors say presidential candidate to be appointed soon.
අපි බොහොම සුහදව සාකච්ඡා කරා. මම හිතන්නේ ඉදිරි දින කිහිපය තුළ හොඳ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් ලැබෙයි.
අපේක්ෂාත්වය ගැන කතා කරා. ඉක්මනින්ම තීන්දුව ගන්නවා.
Emergency meeting held at the official residence of Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne. State Minister Ranjinramanayake makes startling revelation on a luxury house in America. Supreme Court rejects appeal by Gotabaya Rajapaksa on case regarding D.A. Rajapaksa Memorial and Museum. Mahindananda Alutgamage makes revelation on SLPP proposal to the SLFP.
Last evening, United National Party leader and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and UMP Deputy Leader and Minister Sajid Premadasa sat down for crucial talks. Following the talks, party seniors said the UMP's presidential election candidate would be announced soon.
Talks between the UNP's leader and deputy leader at Temple Trees commenced at 9:30 p.m. yesterday. Minister Rajitha Senaratne had accompanied the Prime Minister, while it was reported Ministers Kabir Hashim, Ranjit Bandara and Malik Samaraweera visited Temple Trees during that time. The meeting came to a close at 10:45 p.m.
අපි බොහොම සුහදව සාකච්ඡා කරා. මම හිතන්නේ ඉදිරි දින කිහිපය තුළ හොඳ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් ලැබෙයි.
මොන වගේ සාකච්ඡාවක් නියුත ඔබතුමා
පක්ෂය පිළිබඳව එක්සත් ජාතික පෙරමුණ පිළිබඳව ඉදිරි වැඩ කටයුතු පිළිබඳව
ඔබතුමා ඉල්ලුවේ දඟපැතුමාගේ මාව කියන්නේ පොදු අපේක්ෂකාරීට පත් කරන්න කියලා.
එහෙම ඉල්ලීම් බැගෑපත් වීම ඒව මොනවත් නැහැ. අපි සාකච්ඡා කරා කරුණු කාරණා.
එකකතාවයන් කොහොමද එමතුමා?
තවදුරටත් අපි කතා කරනවා. කතා කරලා මම සුබවාදීව හිතනවා.
එමතුමා එතකොට දැන් මේක විසඳෙන්නේ කොහොමද දැන් හැමදාම දිනෙන් දින හැදෙන එක නෙවෙන්නේ දැන්.
නෑ මම බොහොම තරයේ කියන්න කැමති එහෙම ඇලීමක් ආයේ සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඇදෙනවා කියලා එහෙම හිතනවා නම් බොහොම සුබවාදීව ධනාත්මකව මම හිතන්නේ විසඳුම එයි.
සමාජ මාධ්‍ය වාර්තා කරන අලියකින් බැරුණොත් උකුස්සකින් හරියනවා කියලා. එහෙම ඔබතුමා මොකක්ද මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කියන්නේ?
ඒක ඉතින් උකුස්සකින් සමාජ මාධ්‍ය වලින් අහගන්න.
රාජලිය. පුදුමාර එහෙම උනොත් දෙවෙනි පියවරකට යනවද?
නේ එහෙම මේ තමුන්නාන්සේ ඔය මතු කරන ප්‍රශ්න කිසිසේත්ම වළංගු නැහැ. මං උකුස්සෙක්වත් රාජලියෙක්වත් නෙවෙයි. මම හොඳ ඇතෙක්. අලියක් නෙවෙයි ඇතා.
සාකච්ඡාව තාම හොඳට.
The talks went on well. The leader and Minister Sajid Premadasa spoke on our programs and the candidate. The message is a decision will be made soon and it will be made in a united manner.
කියන්න පුළුවන් හොඳම පණිවිඩය.
Lanka Cabinet Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva tweeted, last evening's talks with the Prime Minister and the Deputy Leader were successful. The tweet further said in a few days, Sajid Premadasa would be named as the UNP-led alliance candidate for the presidential election. Minister Harin Fernando tweeted Deputy Leader Sajid Premadasa had a very positive discussion with the Prime Minister and Sajid Premadasa will be appointed as the UNP presidential candidate in a few days. Discussions which took place will continue further. The presidential election is yet to be called for. We have more time and in the previous occasion, we will make our nominations once the date for the presidential election is announced.
අපේක්ෂකව පිළිබඳ දැනුවත් කරේ.
සත්‍යාතික පෙරමුණේ සුළු පක්ෂයන් රතෝ ලයිට් පත්තු කළ දින පහුගිය දවස්වලම ඉක්මනටම පොදු අපේක්ෂා නම් කරේ නැත්තම් ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ තීන්දුවක් ගන්නවා කියලා.
නෑ ඔය ඔක්කොම අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන අවසානයේ ඔය සියලු බලවේග අපිත් එක්ක තමයි එකතු.
රටම බලන් හිටිය සිද්ධියක් ඊයේ මේ සජිත්
ඉරේ.
ඔව් මොකද
ඇටෝම් එකේද හෝම් කමින් එකේද?
හෝම් කමින් එකේ.
සුබ වෙයි. ඉවසලා ඉන්න. ඊට පස්සේ මුළු රටම මොකුල් ගේකට පත් වෙයි.
A special discussion was held at Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne's official residence this afternoon. According to our correspondents, the meeting commenced around 2 this afternoon and was attended by several UNP MPs and ministers. Following this meeting, no comment was made to the media. However, this evening at Temple Trees, questions were posed at Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne. We discussed on developing the party and then decide on the candidate. We looked into the possibility of securing support from different groups. We will put forward a victorious candidate and win the election. They will join with us. Apart from the Rajapaksas, all the others will join us.
UMP MP Professor Ashishkumar Singh, speaking at Temple Trees, commented on attempts to abolish the executive presidency.
The country experienced various issues as a result of decisions made by the executive president. Therefore, the UNP candidate, once elected, will take measures to do away with the executive presidency within 3 to 6 months. We are of the opinion to create a parliament accountable to the people thereafter. However, it can be done with the existing parliament. We made a request from the JVP to bring forward the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. If it comes to cabinet and it is agreed to do away with the executive presidency, and if all the honest politicians in parliament form a 2/3 majority, it would not be a difficult task. JVP Politburo member KD Lalkanta said the JVP would support a proposal which proposes for a parliamentary system. We prefer a parliamentary administrative system over a prime ministerial system. If the discussions are for that, we would support it. Our party appeared for that cause since 1978, and if they would move towards the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, or if they would propose to do away with the executive presidency and move towards a parliamentary system, we would support it.
What did the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna propose to the SLFP to jointly contest the presidential election? Parliamentarian Mahindananda Alutgamage revealed the details today.
The
SLPP has worked according to the requests made by the SLFP. Now, Dayasiri Jayasekara is hanging on to the matter surrounding the symbol. Mahinda Rajapaksa, the candidate, and all the other parties in the alliance had discussions on this matter together. All of them agree the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna represents this country's largest political force at present.
නෑ මම දෙකක් කියලා කිව්වේ නෑ මම කිව්වේ අලුතෙන් හදන සන්දානයේ ප්‍රධාන තනතුරක් දෙන්න අපි කඟුණා කියලා. සභාපති තනතුර නැත්තම් මහලේකම්. ඒක සාකච්ඡාවේදී අවසන් තීරණයකට එන්නේ. නමුත් ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයට අභිමානයේ ගෞරවයේ දැනෙන පරිදි ප්‍රධාන තනතුරක්. උන්ට ලේකම් තනතුරම තමයි ඕන වෙන්නේ. ඒකද ඉන්නේ. ඒක ඔබේ අවශ්‍යතාවය ඒක අපේ අවශ්‍යතාවය. දායසිරි මාත්මයට ලේකම් තනතුර නැත්තම් හරි නෑ කියලා මම කියන්නේ. දායසිරි මාත්මට මොකක් හම්බුනේ නැත්තම් මම legally officially කිව්වේ නැති ඉඳ කිව්වේ නෑ මේ සභාපතිතුමා දෙනවා කොහොමද නායක මහින්ද මහත්තයා ලේකම් අපේ අත සභාපති ඒ පෙරි මොනවද නේ සිරිසෙන් මහත්තයා ඔව් ඒ පෙරි මොනවද දෙන්න ලක්ෂ පහක් ගන්නත් නෑ.
Concerns were raised whether the SLFP SLPP coalition attempts would stall as a result of an issue on the party's symbol.
We are continuing with our discussions. The 7th round of talks ended and the next will take place. We do not know about the SLFP top tier. However, the grassroots wish to join with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
අපේ පොහොට්ටුවත් සමග ඉන්නවා කියන කියන්න පුළුවන්.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය තමයි.
The SLFP was like a wholesale store. Thereafter, a store called the SLPP was created. We are trying to find the people who would take on the posts of cashier, bookkeeper or owner of that store.
ඉල්ලන්නේත් නැහැ, මුදලාලිකම ඉල්ලන්නේත් නැහැ. අඩුම වශයෙන් අපිට බඩු කිරන්න හරිය කඩේ දෙනවා නම් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ එහෙම. නමුත්
sadly, 2 of our members had gone there recently and they were given the cleaning service. Because we cannot do that, we hope we will be given an opportunity to do something else.
ඒ කඩේ අපිට අවස්ථාව දෙයි කියලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් ඉන්නවා.
When Mahinda Rajapaksa becomes the Prime Minister, the next government would be a Mahinda Gota government. If Maithripala Sirisena wishes to protect the identity of his party and the membership, he can do as he pleases. However, if a red notice is flared to change the symbol, that would be an issue. The identity does not prevail with a symbol.
State Minister Ranjinramanayake made a revelation during a media briefing earlier today.
Several friends of mine who reside in America provide me with intel. They have sent me details regarding the malpractices presidential candidates have engaged in. They have also sent me details regarding their assets. This is a newly built house in America. This is the living room, the bathrooms. This is a house which has not been occupied before. The value of this house is $1 million. That means it is roughly around 180 million rupees. According to rumours, this house was purchased by a presidential hopeful. I would like to request the journalists to probe this matter. Please do not say I am slinging mud. We received information in 2015. Following the presidential election, there was a substantial amount of money which was deposited at banks in Dubai by former presidents and former ministers. However, that money went missing all of a sudden. Udayanga Weeratunga has attempted to smuggle that money and he has travelled to Los Angeles several times. Then he was arrested. We have a suspicion that this money was laundered and has been utilised to purchase various assets. We have to investigate these. We are bound to uncover these because once they are in power, it will be untraceable once again.
ඒක තමයි මේවා අල්ලන්න තියෙන හොඳම අවස්ථාව. මොකද මේ අය බලයට ආවට පස්සේ කවදාවත් මේවා අල්ලන්නට බෑ.
The Supreme Court dismissed the appeal challenging the case filed at the Permanent High Court trial at Bar against Gotabaya Rajapaksa regarding the DA Rajapaksa Memorial and Museum.
The appeal by Gotabaya Rajapaksa challenged the order of the charge sheet and the judicial power of the Permanent High Court trial at Bar to take up the case. The 5-judge Supreme Court bench comprising Justices Sisira Diabru, Priyantha Jayawardena, Prasanna Jayawardena, Vijit Malalgoda and LTB Dehidenia considered the submissions made by the Attorney General and Counsel for Gotabaya Rajapaksa. President's Counsel Ali Sabri, appearing on behalf of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, said the objections have been made to claim the Police Financial Crimes Investigations Division, which investigated the DA Rajapaksa Memorial and Museum, was set up illegally by the Inspector General of Police. President's Counsel Ali Sabri argues investigations done by an illegally set up body are considered illegal. Seeking permission for the appeal to be examined, the President's Counsel requested for the case taken up at the Permanent High Court trial at Bar be suspended until the appeal is examined. Additional Solicitor General Virat Dayaratna, appearing for the Attorney General, noted there is no illegal nature on the order of the charge sheet. He informed the bench as the charge for conspiracy filed against the defendants is serious in nature, the appeal should not be permitted to be examined. Considering the facts, the Supreme Court dismissed the appeal and the case at the Permanent High Court trial at Bar on the DA Rajapaksa Memorial and Museum will be taken up on the 15th of September.
The Attorney General today filed indictments at the Gampaha High Court against Brigadier Anuradesha Priya Gunawardena and 3 army soldiers regarding the Ratupaswala shooting.
94 indictments were filed against the defendants for shooting dead 3 protesters during a demonstration in Ratupaswala Valley area where people were demanding for clean drinking water and causing injuries to the protesters as well. The charges include shooting dead 3 people on the 1st of August 2013 in Ratupaswala, shooting and injuring another 12 people and injuring 21 others by assaulting them. The case will be taken up in the presence of a trial at Bar comprising of Justices Menaka Vijayasundara, Vimal Ranaveera and Nishanta Hapuarachi.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has informed the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate fraud and corruption in the current administration that he is unable to appear before the Commission tomorrow. A spokesperson for the Commission stated that the Secretary to the Prime Minister, Saman Ekanayake, had informed of this in writing.
The Prime Minister was summoned to appear before the Commission tomorrow to testify on the questionable dealings surrounding the lease of a building in Rajagiriya to carry out the operations of the Ministry of Agriculture. The Secretary to the Prime Minister has informed that the Prime Minister will be in Mannar tomorrow to attend a number of events and hence unable to appear before the Commission. As a result, the Commission has reissued summons to appear before the Commission at 9:30 a.m. on Monday, the 16th of September. Meanwhile, Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyavasam appeared before the Commission once again. The Minister appeared to testify on investigations into an issue surrounding a decision to print colour photographs of the Minister on textbooks and disciplinary action taken against the Director of Distribution, IKM Ilanga Singha. The Minister testified for a period exceeding 1.5 hours.
Reports have surfaced that although Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe had been summoned to appear before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing fraud and corruption at state institutions over the past 4 years, he is unable to do so now. He was scheduled to appear tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. at the Commission. Now, on previous occasions, the Secretary to the Prime Minister Samaraweera and Parliamentarian Duminda Dissanayake were summoned to appear before the Commission, and Duminda Dissanayake was the former Minister of Agriculture as well. So, when Duminda Dissanayake was testifying before the Commission, one of the facts which was revealed was that when he had presented the cabinet paper to move the Ministry of Agriculture to the DPJ building in Rajagiriya, it had mentioned that this was done based on a recommendation made by the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, and that has served as the basis to summon the Prime Minister to appear before the Commission. Further, when the Secretary to the Prime Minister Samaraweera had appeared before the Commission, and when he was being questioned, the Commission had pointed out that although the government had estimated that the rent of this DPJ building in Rajagiriya was 13.5 million rupees rather, in actual fact 21.5 million rupees had been paid to acquire the building, and the building had also been unused for a period of 1.5 years after being acquired, and the entire period of time the rent was being paid. Further, 466 million rupees had been allocated or spent to furnish the building or to acquire several equipment for the building, and another excess of 50 million rupees had been allocated to sign rent agreements relating to this DPJ building. Now, after considering all of these expenses, the Commission had questioned the Secretary to the Prime Minister as to whether, if all of these expenses were taken together, the building could have been brought outright, if it could have been purchased without being rented. And surprisingly, at the time, even the Secretary to the Prime Minister had agreed that with the members of the Commission that the purchase of the building could have been done outright instead of renting this building. And it's back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Jayamal. Well, President Maithripala has instructed officials to expedite the process of amending the laws to prevent terrorism and to enforce new laws on the matter.
The President was addressing a meeting of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security, and according to the President's media division, this is the first time in Sri Lankan Parliament history a sitting President attended such a meeting. President Maithripala Sirisena said the Attorney General had informed him that appearing before the Parliamentary Select Committee probing the April 21st attacks was at his discretion. The President said he would, however, take a decision in the best interests of national security and as an individual who respects democracy.
The Pulasti intercity train service from Colombo Fort to Polonnaruwa completed its first run today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The Pulatisi intercity train is a S13 grade luxury train. President Maithripala Sirisena joined the inaugural journey and travelled from Fort to Maradana. Among those present were Minister Arjuna Ranatunga, State Minister Ashoka Besingha and the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka. The Pulatisi intercity train travels daily at 3 p.m. from Fort Station and reaches Polonnaruwa railway station at 7:45 p.m. The return journey starts at 3:45 a.m. and reaches Colombo Fort at 9:06 a.m.
A bus was handed over to the Beli Atta Central College today as part of the Samata Sahana program.
The bus, worth 4.6 million rupees, will be used for the activities of the school. It was vested with the pupils by the Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajith Premadasa. This is the 19th bus distributed by the Minister via funds from his personal fund and donors.
November මාසේ December මාසේ මේ රටේ කඩයින් ලක්ෂය හැරවුම් ලක්ෂය.
I promise when a change in this country occurs either in November or December, I will give all school-going students yet another set of uniforms, a pair of shoes and breakfast. When I put forward a proposal, those in the capital tell me I am engaged in distributing things. Providing another set of school uniforms, shoes and breakfast is in fact a massive investment for the future. We will end the period of politicians enjoying luxuries and will instead divert money and distribute it among the school children in this country.
සහ මුලින්ම යට නැවතීමේ ලකුණු තබලා එයින් ඉතුරු වෙන මුදල් මම මේ රටේ පාසල් දූ දරුවන්ට බෙදලා දෙනවා කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න කැමතියි.
An event under the theme Political Economy and Economic Policy in Our Times was held today at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
The event was held under the auspices of Dr. Razin Sali, a visiting associate professor from the University of Singapore.
The biggest complaint against policy making in Sri Lanka is a lack of consistency and predictability. That is what everybody says. Domestic investors, foreign investors, analysts, everybody has the problem about the lack of consistency and predictability. At the time the Monetary Law Act was written, we had permanent secretaries. So the ST was not a political appointee. Today all the secretaries are political appointees. And it's highly questionable whether you want a political appointee in the governance structure of the central bank.
The governor of the central bank expanded on his position exclusively to Newsfirst about political secretaries for the central bank.
There is a proposal to separate the treasury and the central bank in the governance structure of the central bank. At the time the Monetary Law Act was written in 1950, the Secretary Treasury was a permanent secretary. In those days, the secretaries were not appointed by a political authority. Instead, they were part of the public service, and the Public Service Commission did the appointment. Now, of course, all secretaries are appointed by the political authority. In the proposed monetary law, all the members of the governing structure of the central bank will have a process of appointment which will involve the finance minister recommending and His Excellency the President appointing with the concurrence of the Constitutional Council. So that is a very similar process to what the Supreme Court and High Court judges, the process for appointing Supreme Court and High Court judges. For a healthy society, you need an independent Supreme Court. For a healthy economy, you need a pretty independent central bank. So this appointment process would bring about greater independence.
The economist Dr. Razin Sali explained how the economic crisis is intertwined with the political crisis.
An economic crisis is twinned with a political crisis, with severe stress on political systems, sometimes even threatening the collapse of the state itself. But in that context, a crisis is also an opportunity or window of opportunity for reform. And I'm worried about this bias of short-term policy making seemingly into our long-term future. For I think it's worrying in terms of short-term and long-term economic distortions. It's worrying because it gives, in my view, too much discretion to politicians and bureaucrats, including central bankers, to intervene in all sorts of ways. And it sends powerful signals to political and economic actors to behave in ways that might well be against the public interest.
A seminar on ethical responsibility of professional accountants in the public sector was held in Colombo last evening.
The seminar was organised by the Association of Public Finance Accountants of Sri Lanka. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, also attended the seminar.
Basically, you need to ensure that you do the right thing when no one is watching you. That is the integrity, the landmark. That is the threshold. If you are unable to do the right thing when no one is watching you, then I urge you, start in this moment, put yourself like in a pottery wheel, in a clay ball, mold yourself to have that integrity, because it is not late, even as of today, until you reach the age of 60, where you would retire. So please mold yourself if you do not have it.
We suggest that the Cabinet of Ministers and MPs pay heed to this important statement and observation by the Solicitor General.
The Administrative Services Union carried out a strike action today, reporting in sick. They cited a number of issues, including salary anomalies. The university non-academic staff strike action also continued today for the second consecutive day.
The administrative services staff that were on strike protested before the Ministry of Public Administration.
The main thing is to be allowed to work with no political interference. The second is that there have been anomalies with regard to salaries for 4.5 years, and they have continued to delay matters surrounding this. The third is that in making appointments, the process of making appointments and also filling higher positions through promotions needs to be made quicker. We cannot allow officials that will easily succumb to demands to be appointed to these positions.
A number of state institutions saw their daily activities ground to a halt due to the strike actions.
අද නිලධාරීන්ගේ අඩුපාඩු හින්දා වැඩේ කෙරුන්නේ නැහැ.
අද මෙතන වැඩක් කෙරෙන්නේ නැහැ. අද විතරක් කියලා කියනවා කොහොමද දන්නේ ඉතින්.
ගොඩක් දුර ඉඳලා උදෙන් ආවා වැඩ කරගන්න මොනව කරන්නද ඉතින් මේ ඔක්කොම ස්ට්‍රයික් වෙලා
අද මෙතන ආයෙ වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ කියනවා ආපහු යනවා දුප්පත් මිනිස්සුන්ට තමයි ඉතින් කොතනත් ඉතින් තැන නැත්තේ.
The Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, J.J. Ratnasiri, stated that no complaints have been received about the inability to access services at any departments. According to the Secretary to the Ministry, the proposals with regard to the salary anomalies have been put before a Cabinet subcommittee for further direction. Meanwhile, the University Trade Union Joint Committee, who began a strike action citing a salary anomaly, have stated that they will not return to work up until they receive a proper solution to their issues.
The salaries of the state sector, when comparing 2015 to 2020, have gone up by 107.6%. That is the same increase in state departments and corporations. But in the universities, that increase has only been by 92%. The university employee is not entitled to a pension that the state employees receive, not even the loan scheme that state employees are entitled to. There is no insurance. We don't even have the transfer system available to the state sector. Previously, our salaries were 36% higher than those in the state sector. We have joined this struggle against our salary decreasing by 11%.
The functions of the universities were also interrupted by the steps taken by the trade unions. Secretary to the Ministry of Higher Education, S.K. Mayadunne, speaking to Newsfirst, stated that attention must be drawn to the salaries earned by the two parties as opposed to the percentages of increase. However, he also stated that the ministry will work to heed the demands.
Now, a special discussion took place at Temple Trees today regarding the development of the Mihintale sacred land.
The meeting involving the chief incumbent of the Mihintale Rajamahaviharaya, Venerable Valavahangue Dhammaratna Thero, saw Minister Ravi Karunanayake and a number of officials attend.
අපේ හැමෝටම අවුරුදු පතා කැබිනට් අනුමැතියක් ගන්නවා.
දැන් එක්සයිට් ජාතික සංවිධානයේ UN එකෙන් ඒක පිළිගත්ත නැහැ. අයි අපේ රටේ මේක කරන්න බෑ. තමුන්නාසලා අමාත්‍ය ලේකම්තුමාලා වගේ දේශපාලනිකව වක් කියන්න ඕනේ.
Sri Lanka rejected concerns raised over the appointment of Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva as the army commander. Sri Lanka's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador A.L.A. Aziz, speaking at the Geneva 42nd UNHRC session today, said that Silva's appointment was an internal matter.
The core group on Sri Lanka raised concerns at the UN Human Rights Council during its ongoing session on the appointment of Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva as the army commander.
Madam High Commissioner, we share the concern expressed in your statement of 19 August that the appointment of General Silva as Army Commander severely compromises Sri Lanka's commitment to promote justice and accountability and undermines reconciliation efforts. The core group believes that it is vital for peace and prosperity that Sri Lanka builds confidence in its commitment to protecting political space and human rights.
However, addressing the session today, Sri Lanka's permanent representative to the United Nations said Army Commander Silva's appointment was an internal matter. He also noted Sri Lanka is disappointed at concerns being raised by some country over Silva's appointments based on allegations.
It's been 18 years since the September 11th attacks left nearly 3,000 people dead in the worst act of terrorism the US has ever experienced.
In New York City, a ceremony will take place at the 9/11 Memorial, where mourners gather as they have every year since the attack for the annual reading of the victims' names from both the 1993 and 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center. They will also observe a citywide moment of silence at the time American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower, with a second pause at the time when United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the suicide attacks, and a US-led war in Afghanistan followed. US forces killed bin Laden in May 2011 in a surprise raid on his hideout in Abbottabad, Pakistan, ending nearly a 10-year hunt for the Al-Qaeda leader.
Speaking on our Newsline program this morning, Minister of Sports Harin Fernando spoke about Sri Lanka Cricket bank accounts in Australia and Mexico.
So, well, these are the questions that was raised. It is the questions how this money wires got across, how they transferred. So there's a massive, investigation going on. Plus, there were certain investigations that was done by ICC as well, and which they have sent to us. So it has all the rights for us under the sports law section 39. A minister can suspend actions of a certain individual which is involved in the federation.
Sri Lanka Cricket has sought the assistance of the Sri Lankan government to conduct a reassessment of the security situation in Pakistan ahead of the national team's planned tour to the country. The latest release issued by Sri Lanka Cricket comes moments after it announced its squad which will tour Pakistan.
In its release, the SLC said the decision was taken following a warning it received from the Prime Minister's office sent via the Ministry of Telecommunication, Foreign Employment and Sports. The warning highlights that the Prime Minister's office has received reliable information of a possible terrorist threat on the Sri Lankan team while touring Pakistan. Earlier, Lahiru Tirumana was named captain of the Sri Lankan ODI squad, which will tour Pakistan, while Dasun Shanaka will lead the T20 squad. Sri Lanka Cricket's 15-man squad for the ODIs include Lahiru Tirumana, Danushka Gunatilaka, Sadira Samaraweera, Avishka Fernando, Oshada Fernando, Shehan Jayasuriya, Dasun Shanaka, Minod Banuka, Angelo Pereira and Vanidu Hasaranga. The team will also include Lakshan Sandakan, Nuan Pradeep, Isuru Udana, Kasun Rajita and Lahiru Kumara. Lahiru Tirumana has not been included in the 16-man squad for the T20 internationals, which also includes Banuka Rajapaksha and Lahiru Kumara. Some of the high-profile players of the Sri Lanka team have stepped away from joining the tour, citing security concerns. The Sri Lanka tour of Pakistan will take place from the 27th of September to the 9th of October.
And with that, we conclude tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bongzo. Good night.
TV1 රැස් වී දෙන ජීවිතේ